A decade ago, there was a family residing in my apartment building, consisting of a mother, father, and daughter. They were known for their harmonious existence, with no negative remarks ever made about them. Their pleasant and cheerful demeanor was always a delight to witness, though on occasion they may have garnered some envious stares from others. However, tragedy struck when the father and daughter lost their lives in a car accident while returning home from their dacha one evening. Alina, the wife and mother, was not informed of the news until a day later, as she had remained at the country house to tend to the garden. A funeral and wake were held, but a month later, Alina was unrecognizable. The once beautiful, young, and lively woman had aged rapidly, withdrawing from society and avoiding acquaintances, likely due to the constant stream of condolences she received. Life may have continued in this manner, but there was one pivotal factor. At some point, I began to notice a change in Alina's behavior. She would stomp around the doorway and only enter her apartment in the company of one of her neighbors, whereas before, she actively avoided them. On a particular evening, while walking towards my front door, I spotted Alina rummaging through her purse. I approached her and greeted her. We engaged in small talk, during which I detected her peculiar conduct. She frequently turned her head around, seeming guilty, and forced a smile. As she drew nearer to me, she posed a question in a hushed tone, with a half-smile on her face. "Do you happen to see anyone else behind me?" she whispered with a half-smile on her face. Her question caught me off guard, and I replied that I didn't see anyone else. Suddenly, she grabbed my arm and hurriedly pulled me towards the staircase, even though she lived on the first floor. She whispered something to me, then swiftly unlocked her door with her key and slammed it shut in my face before I could comprehend what was happening. I remained confused about what she had said to me. From my kitchen windows, which overlooked the entryway canopy, I observed Aunt Lena acting peculiarly for a few weeks. She roamed around the yard, frequently glancing around, and occasionally bounced and twitched her arms in a bizarre manner, as if someone invisible was clutching her elbows. One evening, Alina's neighbors called the police upon hearing eerie screams emanating from her apartment. However, she refused to open the door for anyone, insisting that she was all right and that the noise was due to her accidentally turning up the volume on the television. Alina's peculiar conduct became the topic of discussion among all the neighbors. She responded to all queries with an enigmatic smile. Eventually, everyone concluded that she had lost her sanity as a result of losing her loved ones. Consequently, they ceased paying attention to her. One day, while I was at home, the doorbell rang. It was our local police officer. He inquired about how long I had last seen Aunt Lena. After pondering for a moment, I informed him that it had been approximately a week. A few hours later, I heard a commotion coming from the staircase. Upon stepping outside, I observed that the Emergency Situations Ministry, eventual, was attempting to break down Alina's apartment door, which happened to be of decent quality. There were several individuals present, including police officers, the building manager, and the superintendent. I refrained from interfering, as my presence would have been unnecessary. Instead, I watched the scene unfold from my kitchen window. Eventually, the police emerged from the apartment carrying a black plastic bag, and an ambulance arrived to transport our superintendent, who appeared to be in shock. Though I was intrigued by what had occurred, I refrained from asking any questions, recognizing that the situation was most likely dire. Later, I discovered the horrifying details of Aunt Lena's demise. Her lifeless body had been discovered in the bathtub, submerged in water. The bathroom itself was in a state of utter disarray, with the plastic shower curtain torn off its hooks and Lena's fingernails torn from her fingertips. The tiled walls were streaked with dried blood, and strands of hair torn from her head floated in the water. Lena appeared to have been forcibly drowned, yet had struggled mightily to escape her attacker. The apartment's doors and windows were all locked from the inside, with the handles of the windows even bound together with wires to prevent them from being opened. The authorities concluded that Aunt Lena's death was a suicide, but I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. I couldn't help but wonder who she saw behind her back that day. Was it possible that someone had managed to get close enough to her on that terrible day to harm her?